Didik TV KPM.
And I believe in this segment, we're in section C, where we're going to learn about poetry. It's definitely one of my favorite things to learn.
Okay, ready?
I'm excited still.
So we've covered section A, prose, and we've covered section B, drama and play. So that means we've come to the last section of the exam paper. And this section, poetry, is made up of questions that come from 10 poems. These 10 poems, I'm guessing all these students out there are now really studying. And I think one of the biggest advantages that candidates out there have is the fact that with this new format, they do not have to memorize every single bit. Unlike the previous format, candidates will have all the poems provided.
All right.
So as long as you have done your work, studying and revising, the poems are going to be there, appearing in your question paper, guiding you. And that's such a load off, isn't it? There's so much less stress. So these are the 10 poems that all of you would have already thoroughly studied. I'm going to show you 4 example questions. All right, let's just say Hanif is sitting for the paper, and this is 22nd of March. All right, 8 to 10:30. Hanif has finished with section A, Hanif has finished with section B, he's gotten now to section C. All candidates need to select whether they want to answer question 8A and B or 9A and B. I do not know which 4 are coming out, so I always tell my pupils, be ready with all 10. There's just no escaping knowing all the 10 texts there. Okay? But what I have for everyone to see today is a collection of 4 poems. So let's just imagine, Hanif, that you've got 8A, Daffodils, by William Wordsworth, 8B, The Tiger, by William Blake. It's a William combo.
We can see that.
And then 9A, you've got Two Autumn by John Keats, and then 9B, If by Rudyard Kipling. The first thing you need to do when you open up to section C of the question paper is to decide. Do I want to do Daffodils and Tiger, or do I want to answer Autumn and If? Candidates cannot say, I would like to choose and mix, because the pairings would have already been set. So that's why we always tell our candidates, be sure to know all 10 poems. All right, let's take another look at all 4. Unlike section A, unlike section B, where you saw A questions based on extracts valued at 15 and theme questions valued at 20, what you see here with the 4 poems is the fact that each of these 4 are valued at 15. 15, 15, 15, 15. So perhaps candidates are going to be asking, are they all exactly the same? Generally, what we expect to see in the question paper on the 22nd of March would be A questions, if you're looking at examples there, pretty much sound more like technical questions. Do you know your use of language? Do you know how devices have been used? Take a look at the A questions there. Based on Daffodils, how does Wordsworth use language to convey nature's ability to offer us comfort? Use of language. And then to Autumn, how does John Keats use language to show the abundance of the autumn season? So it's very clear, all right? It's very clear that the requirement of the task cannot run away from candidates discussing use of language. So you're going to look at the poem given, you're going to throw in everything that you feel is appropriate for discussion. Okay, and we're going to go there very soon. All right? If you're looking at Tiger and If, you're going to ask me, are they the same? Are they also technical in nature, where I need to show I understand use of language. All right? If you compare or contrast, Hanif, you will see the A questions and the B questions, they are of a different nature.
That is true.
If you're looking at the tiger question, it says there the tiger is a creature of admirable beauty. Do you agree? You have to decide. You cannot stand on the fence. You have to agree or disagree. And then, if you're looking at If by Kipling, all right, a life of honor is one that contains good values. Candidates would be expected not just to know the poem, discuss the poem, but relate it to the given statement. All right, so if they know the poem well, if they've done their research, this will be a piece of cake. All right, so I mentioned 2 autumn earlier, and what I have for all of you to see right now is an example A question. All right, an A question that goes, how does Wordsworth use language? Don't forget, language use, to show the abundance of the autumn season. All right, so when you open up to section C, poetry, first thing you will see would be the poem itself. The poem's provided, no worries there. What's colored for you today, for you to better understand, that's what's not going to be there. So you really need to know your stuff, okay? What I've put here as an example is, let's just imagine Hanif is answering right now, okay? Autumn by Keats, and he gets the question, the abundance of the autumn season. Oh no, what do I do? The abundance that is seen in the autumn season as conveyed, as shown by John Keats, whether literal or figurative, is seen throughout the 3 stanzas. And what I've done is I've moved those main ideas into this box here. All right, I'm sure, Hanif, you can see the abundance of the autumn season. What I translated that into would be an abundance of harvest, an abundance of activity, and then an abundance of beauty. That means candidates already know you can't run away from discussing the entire poem. All right, so what I did was, as you can see, I mentioned here, this is like a recap for candidates. I mentioned here, when you're looking at the harvest that takes place during the autumn season, what do you see? A lot of visual imagery. The season is lush, plentiful. There's ripe harvest of grains, of plants, of fruits. Where does it all come from? The conspiracy or the friendship, working relationship between the autumn season and the sun. So you're actually discussing Mother Nature at her best. You're discussing how nature has managed to create all these magical treats during autumn. So if you break it into 3, abundance of harvest, activity, and beauty, you could then already lay out your response, all right? When you lay out your response, you would work out the first stanza and then relate it to the abundance of harvest. Where is that? All right, I'm going to test Hanif now and ask him if any words catch his eye where harvest is concerned.
I could see, it says that, and fill all fruit with ripeness to the core. Would that be an appropriate answer?
An appropriate textual evidence. Thank you so much. So when you're looking at abundance of harvest, the fact that during the autumn season, everything is lush and in abundance, you're going to look at obviously these verbs, all right? Your load and bless, your bend, your fill, your swell, your plump, your later flowers, and then your clammy cells. All these already strengthening your idea about the abundance of harvest as seen in the autumn season. Okay, so Hanif is on the right track. He's then going to go on to the second stanza. He's then going to talk about the abundance of the autumn season where activities are concerned. Test you again. What words do you think are appropriate as textual evidence?
Since it's mentioning activity, could it be the last line when thou watchest the last oozings hours by hours?
All right,
Because
great
I'm seeing
answer
hours by
there.
hours there.
Correct. So when you have an abundance of activity, this is Keats conveying to his readers how autumn is a season that is filled with the hustle and bustle of human activity. All right, so you've got there the gleaners, you've got there the collectors, you've got there all sorts of harvesting going on the right track. Now
Okay, 2 over
we
2.
get to the last stanza, and this may be a little tricky. When we say the abundance of the autumn season, and I say autumn is filled with beauty, a lot of people out there, perhaps not students of the KI or Kesusasteraan Inggeris subject, they might not see the word beauty as deep as they should, and perhaps only look at physical beauty. But when we're looking at abundance of beauty in the autumn season, Keats is actually paying tribute to autumn by saying beauty is ever present in the autumn season. It lies in the richness of life that you can actually only hear and witness when the season comes around. All right? A lot of kids will ask, what do you mean, Cher? What do you mean by unique? So I always have to say, autumn has a role to play, a special and unique role with the other 3 seasons, all right? So when you get to the bleat of the lambs, the singing of the crickets, the whistling of the robins, those are all sounds that you can only hear during
Autumn.
right,
Definitely.
and that's what makes autumn special. There you have it. We've been able to answer a 15-mark question based on the poem given. How does Wordsworth use language to show the abundance of the autumn season? Okay, honey?
Yep. I guess I could answer quite well so far.
Want to do the paper on the 22nd of March?
I could try. Well, I've been really paying attention.
Okay, let's take another look here. Right, Tiger by William Blake. Before we go off today, do you agree or disagree with the statement given? If you agree, provide your AO1, 2, 3, and 4. If you disagree, you don't think the tiger is a creature of beauty, where do you stand? What are your points of reason? So one might say, the tiger is a beautiful creature. So yes, I stand for agree. All right. Another candidate might say, I disagree because the tiger's features are not pretty, not beautiful, but frightening and scary. So candidates must come to a stand, and candidates must justify with an outline of a response. I generally ask my pupils to make sure that their template has paragraphing. Please don't forget paragraphing, and put your answers that flow from one idea to the next, from one paragraph to the next. Are we okay?
We're doing good.
All right. Do you feel like you can answer this question?
Well, I'm hoping so. I quite like the fact that I could choose to agree or disagree, but I do feel like I'm on the agreeable side now.
Okay.
I think tigers are beautiful animals.
And therefore you say the tiger is indeed a creature of admirable beauty. All right, that's 15 marks there.
Oh wow, that's amazing. And I think we learned a lot today. Puan A, I really appreciate how you have divided the questions and how you guided us through and made it look very easy. In fact, made it look very easy. And for someone who did not who was not able to learn these different poems and drama, I think I've learned quite a lot today, and it's very exciting. And with that, definitely, I would like to thank Madam Asimah Amaluddin from SMK Asunta Petaling Jaya and
Most
Puan A.
welcome.
If I could address you, it has been an amazing session. Well, I'm sure my pupils, my friends at home, you have learned a lot. I have learned a lot as well today. And just a little bit of a tip for you, especially when we learn literature and all the other subjects. Remember, the quality of our minds depend on the quality of our questions.
Didik TV KPM